If you have too many prospects that are saying, I need to think about it, the problem isn't your product or service, it's how you're communicating your value. And this is where the customer value proposition, or the CVP, comes in. And you can have a CVP or a value proposition for your company, for your brand, and for your products. And each product can have its own value proposition. And you have to understand what is the value to the customers and how do you get that across to them. So if you want to know how to understand CVPs and how to create them, then you need to know the context and strategy of where they fit in within your business. You need to know how to create them and have a framework to create them. And then you need to know how to integrate them rather with your offers. So you're putting offers out into the market. How do you integrate the value proposition with that? So it's not just a nice shiny thing that sits on a shelf or sits in PowerPoint slides. And the last point you need to know is how to implement it in the market. So I'm going to show you a framework for how to do all of these things. So over here in our school environment, we go to classroom, and I'm going to show you the structure of how to create customer value propositions. So firstly, you need to know the context and implications of a value proposition. So what is the purpose and strategy of it, and how does it link to your brand strategy and to your business strategy? Because nothing sits in a vacuum, nothing sits in isolation. You need to know within the marketing framework and all the other marketing and communications activities you are doing, where does the CVP fit exactly? Because if you make it on its own and don't link it to your wider business structure and strategy, it will fail. So you need to know the context of it and implications of where it sits in your business. Then, obviously, once you understand that, you need to know how to create a CVP. And this is where most people struggle with. So obviously, first thing you need to do is define exactly what the CVP is. So you get a good solid definition of a CVP, and then we show you the frameworks, or you need to get frameworks for how to build it. And basically there's two big frameworks. There is a top-down and a bottom-up approach for creating a CVP. So you need to understand, are you going to do a top-down or a bottom-up one? And then if you do a bottom-up one, what exactly does that look like? And if you do a top-down one, how does that differ in your process and in your approach? Both can be equally valid. Most companies, probably 80%, do a bottom-up because you have a lot more data and it's more market-led. And the best way to have the best CVP in the market is to do both and meet in the middle and test it with customers. As long as whatever you're doing, you're testing it with customers, you will really go wrong. So there's two frameworks to create a CVP. And once you have a framework to create one, then you need to integrate it with your offers. So you need to understand what are the offer elements that CVPs link to. They link to your product offer, your service offer, your interaction offers, how you interact with the market, the things you say. Are you, for example, are you a thought leader, or do you not comment on anything in the industry and with your products? And obviously pricing. So you need to go through each of these, link it to your product offer, your service offer element. What services are you putting into the market? Are you linking those to products? How do you interact with the market? And your pricing. How do you link it to pricing? So pricing is obviously, there's only three ways to price: above market, at the market, or below the market. So if you have a CVP, for example, saying we're going to be super duper premium, above the market, high quality, and your price is below the market price, it doesn't match up and you're going to confuse customers. It's even worse going the other way. Are you going to say we are cheap with lowest cost, but your prices are above all of your competitors and above the market price? That's a problem. So you need to integrate your CVP with all of these offer elements here. So you have your CVP, you have how you translate them into offers, and then finally you need a framework to actually implement this thing. So bridging from where you are now to where you want to be in the future, if you are moving your business or your product from the CVP or lack of CVP today to where it needs to be in the future. You need a framework for that as well. So in putting it all together, you have your CVP, then you have your offer elements that support the CVP, and then you have an implementation plan to get this from where you are today to implementing it in the market to making you a profitable and successful business in the future. And that is it. Really quite simple. It's a 3-step process to create a CVP. First step, understand the context and implications of where CVPs fit in your overall business. Second step, how do you create a CVP? And the third step, how do you link the CVP to your offer elements, so your offer elements you're putting into the market support your CVP. And finally, you need an implementation plan that links to where you're going to go in the future, but also your wider marketing plan. So this then sits as part of your marketing plan and part of your communications plan for the next coming cycle of implementing things in the market. And that's it. So this is the first in a series of videos. It's basically a teaser video, this one. And I'm going to go in depth in all of these to show you at a high level how to understand CVPs and how to start creating them for yourself, managing them and implementing them in the market. So I will see you shortly in the next video.